Hey YouTube, so it's 5 a.m. and I felt led to share my experience of 20 years um, on the other side, but like 10 years in darkness. What the experience is like, the isolation, the fear, um, the things I experienced. This is a true account. Um, right off the rip, uh, this I think the human has two different voices inside their head. I think we can all agree on that. Like, you have good thoughts, you have negative thoughts. The negative ones seem to manifest things, and the good is kind of always there, and the bad comes and goes. And really, whichever one you listen to more, which wolf you feed, it's going to project your life and protect your life. So, to make a long story short, on a backstory, I was I was a Christian. You know, did I follow perfectly? No, but at a very young age, I went to church, and then slipped into addiction. And like any addiction, it got worse and worse and worse. Listening to the intrusive thoughts, um, and I still battle that today. But for sake of the story, um, I started listening to "You're No Good." Um, this gives you security. The drugs, this is what you want. You don't feel right unless you don't have it, and it turned into complete isolation. I didn't feel like talking to people unless I was high. I didn't feel like the artistic side of me unless I was high. The list goes on and on. I didn't feel like working on anything if I was high. And the only time I would do it before I was high, it was to get that, you know. I did about every drug, but opiates was the major one. And addicted to Suboxone. But the isolation, sitting around all the time, it done something to me. It's hard for me to now. I've got a video on it to engage with people for very long periods of time. Um, but sitting around all the time, like I wouldn't eat hardly. So pretty much my social life at the time was completely dissolved away. And this went on for 10 years. And there was two sides to me. Um, I used to dabble and huff and paint a little bit when I couldn't find nothing. But this thing showed up even when different times, different highs, but it was the same thing. And there's a raccoon jumped out. Kitty cat, no. I'm in South Florida. There's raccoons and cats jumped out. But anyway, um, so when I would dabble in this pain in certain drugs, but I believe it's linked to the depression I was going through before that. Because also I was depressed. That comes hand in hand, where like I would just lay on the couch, and you start listening to thoughts of like go unalive yourself, for the YouTube word, but you know what I mean, and like just negativity, that depression fueled that mindset into going into this. But the the time I was huffing the paint, I wasn't even in it yet. But this is the clearest example I can give you to where it's either your conscious or subconscious is against you. The Bible calls it demons. I think that this is going to sound far fetched, but like the Garden of Eden was spiritual, a physical place, but it's also spiritual, to where like which tree you're going to eat from, and I chose to eat from the wrong tree that day, and no more than 2 minutes into it, it's kind of like a little ritual. I felt a cat, an invisible cat, run behind me, And it spooked me. I jumped up. I had cold chills, you know, and all of a sudden, when I stood up, this strong wind blew from the corner of the basement. I was in the basement, almost blowing me back, like a pressure, like something that I'm getting cold chills, something that showed up and grabbed me by the back of the neck. And the reason why this ties in that it's inside you, I'll get to that at a different time here on this, coming up on this video, but it freaked me out and it held me down and it wouldn't let me up. And if you would have had a camera in the corner of the room, it would look like I was just a crazy person. But it put me on my knees and it wouldn't let me up for nothing until the whole can of paint was gone, huffed. Something was driving me to do that. That's why it's like this demon stuff, like, you manifest it. And it comes from an outwardly appearance, so people can argue, well, it's always on the outside, it's on the inside. I believe when you're devoting your life to God and you're doing the right thing the best you can and really putting in the work, this kind of stuff don't happen. This was kind of somebody that was just in and out, not practice, totally guard down. But that's a whole nother different message. So I couldn't get up till the whole bag of paint was gone. And once it was gone, I never touched it again to this day. And it's been probably 8 or 9 years since I did that. I mean, a full grown, at the time, probably 36-year-old man, 35, doing that is insane. But I did it when I had totally depraved, totally depressed, no friends, and now I don't blame them, you know what I mean, because I was a total basket case. But see, the thing is when you're high, all that craziness, you know, certain drugs, but like an opiate, all that craziness does leave you. But that little man on the inside of you that don't like you, he's there, waiting. Now, a little time before this last experience, just prove that this thing don't like you and it's inside you, I was doing the same thing again. It always showed up when I would be really depressed and start dabbling in that paint, man. And the thing is you're not far into it, so it's kind of like an occult thing, you know. Disclaimer: do not do this. Do not do it. It grabbed me by, for some reason I was in the mirror doing it and looking inside my eye myself. It grabbed the back of my arm, put it behind my back, and slammed my face into the mirror. And I kind of fought it back where it didn't shatter the mirror, and it's like a medicine cabinet mirror, so it had that bounce. But yeah, that was totally traumatic. But mixing a cocktail of stuff and ritualistic stuff and with depression, and I mean, doing it's bad, but with depression and isolation and drug, it's a matter of time. And so life's like a pendulum. Reality's like a pendulum. And at the time I started out in life, it was on the good, and then it swinged into the bad. It's a huge pendulum, and now it's in the good. And I can feel, not the drug addiction and all this other stuff, but I can feel the pendulum starting to swing back the other way. Now, what's that going to look like sober? Now that I got the warning, it's mental health, it's intrusive thoughts, it's negativity. So that's always been there. That's what's causing it to go back into the negative. And it's hard for somebody like me to be like, just think positive thoughts. That's what they tell you, and that's probably true because they got this neuropath link where you just rewire your brain. And it does. The Bible talks about renewing your mind. And I believe it does, you know what I mean? So it's really the balls of my court. But anyway, what's 10 to 20 years of isolation and darkness look like. So I finally, you push everyone away that cares about you. So finally it got to the point, no friends. My drug dealers cut me off. It's sad that when your drug dealers are like, I'm not dealing with you anymore. I mean, they would, but like, they're telling you, you need to straighten up. um, but yeah, the big thing is don't listen to the voice inside your head that's negative. Do whatever you can to stop that. I know, reading helps that. Exercise is a big one. Um, but also they tell you too, if you're just working all the time and keep your mind occupied, that ain't good. But what do you do with somebody that has to do that to keep the beast at bay, per se? Do whatever it takes. Do whatever it takes. Because drugs ain't the answer to that. Because simply the reason why I quit drugs is not only the devastation it had on my family, because it did. A lot of it cured my family. Not the pain and the meth don't cure it, but like when I would do certain drugs, it would cure it. But the end game is a short lifespan and death, and you don't want that, so don't do it. But anyway, that's all I have for this video. Check out my other videos. Um, just thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.